Hello, welcome to Change with Dane. I'm Dane Campbell. It's 23 April 2025, and I'm here to talk with you about change again today. So, since my last video, I've thought of a lot of different things that we could talk about in terms of change, and I finally settled on a little personal story that I think illustrates some of the challenges and a few of the things that people often have struggles with when they decide that they need to make a change in their life, and then they start working on that thing that they want to make different or make better. So today I thought what I would do is tell you a little story about my life, and hopefully that will help you understand some of the challenges that are often inherent in change, and maybe start to think about ways that you can address some of those challenges in a way that will help increase the likelihood of success when you try to make a change. So a few years back, I was stationed in Northern California, and my wife and I had an opportunity to buy a house, which we did. It's the first time that we had endeavored to do such a big thing as far as a financial commitment, but it was great living in the house for the time that we were stationed here. And then when we moved, we made the decision to keep the home and to rent it out and possibly return to this area after retirement, which is exactly what happened. So when we came back from overseas, and for having renters in the home for quite some time, there were some changes that we needed to make in the home to make it more of what we wanted to be our forever home and make it nice. So we made a kitchen renovation, which was costly but beautiful. And at the same time, we needed to do the floors. The home had had carpet with renters in it for a lot of years, and we needed to get rid of the carpet and put down hardwood because my wife does use a wheelchair because of a disability that she has, and it's very difficult for her to roll on carpet. So as we were getting the renovations done, I asked the contractor how much it would cost to put in a hardwood floor. And the cost of the labor for that floor was very, very high. Not just because of the contractor we had chosen, but just because of that particular job in general. So we were left with either waiting around, getting all of our stuff in the home after the move, and then having to move it all so that we could put the floor down, or find another solution. And of course, that solution was putting the floor down ourselves. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've spent almost 5 decades avoiding big projects because I'm not a handyman, never have been, don't enjoy it, and didn't want to start being a handyman with the first job being laying down a hardwood floor in an entire home. But I didn't see a different solution, and so I started to think about how I could do this and do it well enough that the home was nice, we didn't ruin the hardwood, and we could make this a situation that would be a win, and we could have the floor that we wanted at a reasonable cost, which would just be the materials. So I will tell you that I was scared to make this change. I was scared about a lot of things. Number one, I had never done this and I didn't know how to do it. Number two, I was afraid of messing up and having it look bad, or messing up to the point that I would somehow mess up the materials and have to buy more. I was afraid of the time and the toll it would take on my body as I'm getting a bit older, and have a few concerns in the joint and the knees and all that kind of stuff. So I was suffering from a lot of fear when it came to thinking about making a change to be someone that could take on this project and make it work. We bought the hardwood, we got it into the house, we let it acclimate, and I started to try to rectify some of those fears and some of those concerns. So I turned to YouTube, and I probably watched about 1,000 hours of people putting down different kinds of hardwood floors, and also putting down the kind of floor specifically that we purchased for the home. My son and I started to collect some tools off of different sites so that we had the things that we needed to make all of the measurements and the cuts and the layout and all of those kinds of things that go into putting down a floor. And then we started the process of pulling up the carpet that was there, leveling out the floor with the joint compounds and all of that kind of stuff. And it finally came the day to start laying the floor. Did my fears leave? Did I feel 100% confident? Absolutely not. I started in one side of the house that was way back in the corner in a closet, and I very, very carefully measured and cut and tentatively started to put some of those planks down so that we could get into the house, get our stuff delivered, and start feeling like we were living a normal life. So I will tell you that even after the experience of picking up every single plank, pretty much every single plank, cutting every single plank, tapping it into place, measuring, and crawling around that floor, still would not say I'm 100% confident in being a installer of hardwood. However, the practice and the daily doing it took away a lot of the fears. It helped me to face fear and a neural idea that I couldn't do something. And it helped me to understand that I needed education, and I needed to just push myself and talk myself through some of those voices in my head that were telling me that I couldn't. I will tell you that if you walk into my home, you will find parts of the floor that are not perfect. I admit it. I did not do a perfect job, but I did a job that was absolutely adequate. For the most part, most of the big areas of concern or mistakes are along the edges, which are now covered up. Most of the things that I was most concerned about in getting the floor to look right didn't even happen. I was able to overcome the challenges, get the planks to fit the way that they were supposed to, make the cuts that needed to be made in the way that they needed to be made. I wasted a few planks. I did. Some things didn't work out exactly the way that they should have. Absolutely. But I will tell you that at the end of each day, and by the way, the physical concerns remained a concern. I could only work on the floor every other day because of the getting up and down and how sore my body was. So it took twice as long as it should have. But even with all of that, I walk across that floor now with so much pride, with the idea that I face my fears, and even that was, in my opinion, a greater accomplishment than actually putting down the floor. So I am now, just now, after about 6 months, finishing the stairs. Doing the same sort of thing, went through the same process, spent many, many weeks and probably months putting it off because I was scared to start. But now that I've done it and I continue to work on it, looks pretty good. And there is so much gratification because when I am in the other room and I hear my wife rolling across the floor, I know that I've taken away a barrier that allows her to live life better. I see my boys sweeping and enjoying it. I know that it's clean. I know that it's safe. And I did that. So how does that help you when it comes to changes that you want to make? Just like me, oftentimes change involves fear of the unknown. Sometimes you're afraid that you're going to fail. Sometimes you might be afraid that you don't even know how to make the change. Sometimes you're afraid that you're not going to make it good enough or well enough. And sometimes you're afraid that it's not going to stick. But I can tell you that these obstacles, you can overcome them. Fear can be overcome by education. The not knowing how can be overcome by education. You can find a way to tell yourself different things about the situation or the behavior of whatever it is that you need to change. And you can change those thoughts by practicing on telling yourself different things. You can take small steps to get closer to where you feel like you need to be. And if things don't work out perfectly, you can always do it again. You can always practice. You can always take another chance or another opportunity at it to see if you can make it work. So from an experience in my life, I've seen a few things that sometimes trip people up when they go to make changes. And I think if you can just make a concerted effort to write down the steps of what it is you want to do, and then start to attack those things that have maybe been getting in your way when you've said, I want to make a change, and systematically looking at those things and considering them and educating yourself, and not just accepting the first thing that you tell yourself that might trip you up when it comes to change, you can have a greater sense and a greater chance of success and find greater peace in your life through lasting change. So that's the floor. I wish you great success in the changes that you're working on. I'll be here next week to again talk about change. And if there's any parts of this that you enjoy or helps you in any way, please like, please subscribe, and I look forward to continue to working with you on those changes in your life that you want to make. Take care.